It's day one of coyote hunting, and we're heading down south to a farmer's land. It's a bit cold outside and super windy, but I've called in a friend of mine to come help on the hunt. Now, I've been to the land before, and I was able to scout out a few areas of where I want to set up camp. We baited the night before in hopes that the scent would get carried away and attract some attention to our bait. I'm all packed up and I'm heading to pick up a friend of mine. I left my house around 5 p.m. so it timed out that we would arrive at the farm just before sundown. This gives us just enough light to get the call set up and get some calls in before complete darkness. With my setup, we have a thermal and a suppressor. This should give us a great advantage over the coyotes.
Alright, so rode on a farmer's land today. We're gonna be hunting coyotes. We've got bait set up approximately 75-ish yards from me, or from where we're gonna be sitting. And we're just gonna throw the call out right next to it. Got some liver, and we're gonna get set up and then see if we can call them in. So update, we are currently sitting in our location for the hunt. We are roughly 50 to 60-ish yards from where we have our bait and then the call as well on the ground. We're inside of a kind of a grain bin style deal. We got wind blowing kind of south to north. Now we're just gonna sit here and wait and see what we can see.
As the night went on and a couple hours passed by, we didn't have much action, just a few mice and a very consistent strong wind until...
Alright, update on the video. We had one coyote come into us off a distressed rabbit call, or it was a distressed cat call. Unfortunately, it was about 300 yards out and I could kind of see it, but couldn't get a clear enough shot, and then we watched it go over the horizon. So we're now hopeful for tonight that we're going to see more actions. We'll update you guys next time we see a coyote or we get an update.
Unfortunately, hours passed and we had no other sightings or even calls back to us. We decided to pack up and come back the next day.
Alright, you guys, welcome back to day 2 of hunting. We're going back out to that same farmer's land. Gonna set up in the same similar setup. Gonna try to set the bait 20-30 yards out into the farm field, and I'm gonna be tucked away in the brush for a rough estimate of about 50 to 60 yards away from the target. And I got the call with me again today. Farmer baited last night, so hopefully the wind carried the bait a little bit of ways into the fields, maybe attracted some of the maybe some packs of coyotes. From day one, we did see one. We had one in sight. Didn't end up taking the shot because I couldn't judge about how far away the shot was through the thermal. Tonight I'm gonna have a better idea of how far away. I'm gonna kind of mark some things mentally in my head of the landscape of how far out, 100 yards, 200 yards, etc. That way, if I do see one tonight, I have a better judgment on how far out it is, and I can take a shot. Good news is we did see one, so hopefully tonight we'll get the same results. Maybe we'll see one and maybe even get a couple shots off. Overall, excited. Much less windy compared to the day before. We had probably 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, even higher than that at some points when it did get blowing. Tonight we should only see around between 3 to 6 mile an hour winds, significantly less than day one. Day one forecast, all cloudy tonight. It'll be partly cloudy. Should be able to see some stars, cloud coverage as well. But more or less the wind is what I'm was more concerned about for the hunt tonight. Call should be able to travel in all directions much easier than compared to day one, where it was really only traveling with the wind, because the wind was so strong. Once we get to the site, I'll get you guys updated on the locations and we'll go from there. All right, so I've made it to the spot where I'm gonna be setting up to hunt. I'm gonna get myself positioned. I'm gonna do some notes and do some mental markings of kind of yardages for when it becomes nighttime and I can't see anything. I'm gonna put some things out in the field to kind of
tell me exactly what yardage is what, and when the coyote approaches, I look across, see the marker that it's at, then I know what to shoot at. So we get set up, and then we're gonna start waiting for the coyotes.
So as I get set up with my call and place it in the brush, I take notes of the landscape I'll be shooting towards and make some mental notes of distances. With plenty of daylight, I get in position and waste no time getting to calling.
All right, so I'm set up in my spot. Now I'm just gonna start the call, start with some dying jacks, and then kind of maybe let the sunset go a little bit down more. And then once it starts to be dusk and kind of like dark, I'll start the coyote calls and see what we can draw in. So
As I sit and wait with the call of a dying jack and a crying kitten blasting into the sunset, it doesn't take long before I get my first motion off in the distance. Alright, so we got one coming in. This one's pushing about 350 yards. I'm gonna try to keep the call going. I'm kind of fumbling with it right now, but I'm gonna try to keep it calling. See if I can draw that coyote to within about 100 yards. Maybe take a shot, but hopefully I'm able to draw him in just a little bit closer, because this shot is just not reasonable. I need him to get closer. So as I keep an eye on this coyote, I keep letting that call scream out into the distance, hoping this coyote will find some interest and see what's going on. Unfortunately, this coyote showed no interest, and while trying to run the call and keep an eye on him, I take my eyes off the thermal for just a split second, and I lose him off into the backwoods. And just like that, as fast as the coyote came, it disappeared. As I keep scanning the horizon where the coyote disappeared off into, I notice something as I keep panning left and right. Is this finally the breakthrough that I've been looking for all these nights? As I stay fixated on this object, trying to figure out what the heck this thing is just sitting in the field staring at me, all of a sudden it makes its move. Unfortunately, just the farmer's friendly little owl that's perched up in the trees in the back. It was very fixated on the call that I had on the ground because I was just recently using the cat call. You know, it finds a tree right above my call and is looking for the cat. Unfortunately, without any other sightings throughout the night, that will end the hunt, and that will end the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe to make sure you're staying up to date on the most recent episodes that I release. Episode 2, soon to come out.